Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be doing yet another comparison review. This time between two beers from Jack's Abbey Craft Lagers, and they're out of Framingham, Massachusetts, and this is their Framinghammer, and this is their Bourbon Barrel-Aged Framinghammer. Both of these are the 2023 release. So a Framinghammer is an Imperial Baltic Porter that comes in at 10% alcohol by volume and 45 IBUs, while Bourbon Barrel Aged Framinghammer is the base beer that is aged in bourbon barrels. It comes in at 12% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. Both of these beers are approximately 2.5 months old. So I did not initially plan to do this side by side, not at all. Honestly, this beer right here, I picked up as a shelfie beer to review for the month of January 2024. However, about a week ago, I was in one of my local bottle shops and I was picking up a couple beers for Western New York Wednesday, and I saw this one and I passed by it a couple times. The first time I was like, nah, I'm not gonna buy that. Second time I was like, man, it'd be cool to do a comparison review with the base. And the third time I picked it up off the shelf and here we are. Now, I don't do this too often anymore if you follow the channel for health reasons, but I think this was too good to pass up. Like, I gotta do this, right? We gotta do it for science. So here we are. Now, I will say that I've had both of these beers before, so full disclosure. The Bourbon Barrel Aged version, the first time I had it was outstanding. A couple times after that, it was all right. The last time I had it, it was outstanding again, so it depends on the vintage, at least for me. And then the base, I think, is just a fantastic Imperial Baltic Porter. It's just really well made and always pretty good. So depends on my mood which one I prefer. So I thought we would do a side-by-side of last year's vintages and just see, which one I prefer. And at the end of the review, we're going to do a cuvee, aka the cuvee. I have an extra glass off camera, and yeah, we'll do it and see how it goes. So throw these over here. We will give them a pour, and then what we're gonna do is obviously cuvee them at the end. But I'm gonna review them properly, or at least try to anyway. So basically, Baltic porters are lagered porters, more or less, and you don't see them a ton in the U.S. But I think this is one of the better series out there. Yeah, Joe, you idiot. I don't even know if this is going to be on camera. I'm going to do something like halfway, you know what I mean? I don't need to go crazy here. These are big beers, and I'm probably going to finish these tonight, but I don't really know. I guess we'll see. I'm going to pour a little bit more, generate a better head. All right, something like that. Got to save a little bit for the cuvee, obviously. So we'll throw this over here, move this over here, crack open the barrel-aged version, and they have a bunch of different variants. What's funny is I have not reviewed a single beer within the series on the channel, but I've had probably about 8 to 10 different variants, and yeah, that's me pouring beers poorly. That's what you expect from my channel, like stuff like this. Jesus Christ. Can I do nothing right? No, I can't. I don't understand. I just poured that fine out of a big bottle, or a big can, and now I do this, and it's a fucking mess. I'm terrible at this. Kudos to everybody out there who watches this embarrassment. I was gonna say embarrassing. It's embarrassment. Joe, words. This is why you're terrible at this. I feel like I get frazzled more than any other person when I fuck up a pour, but you know what? As is life. So as you can see, the head is dissipating with that. We're just gonna throw this off to the side here. So try to generate a head over there. Yeah, the head's great over there. Over here, not as much. So doing the comparison here. Okay, yeah, so my camera blows. We've established this before in numerous reviews. In person, the barrel-aged one looks slightly darker. The head's darker, more of a dark brown, where this is more of like a straight brown, more of like a mocha color over here. It's a little bit darker. The bases look exactly the same though, but the head of this one looks a little bit darker, but it's probably going to be very similar on camera. Hold it up to the light. Nothing can get through there. Yeah, so these are like pitch black, more of a dark brown in person, but pitch black, you hold it up to the light. And again, the heads themselves, they look pretty creamy. Now they're dissipated to a thin film for the most part, but pretty creamy. This is more of a mocha / brown color. This is more of a dark brown. See if I do one more swirl up of that, and then maybe I'm just talking out of my ass when I do that. Let's see. Okay, we swirl them both up. Yeah, this is slightly darker. Anyway, doesn't matter, not really. Let's get a nose on the base. Oh. So one thing I've always remembered about Baltic porters, and every time I have one, has a distinct fruitiness that you don't get in a lot of regular porters, I feel, or at least not to this level. It has a lot of like, dark fruit, like more of like a plum, date, fig into like a cherry. It has a nice like almost charred kind of malt, tobacco leather. It's not as heavy on like the chocolate, the coffee, the caramels, the toffees, you can get a lot of times from regular porters. And it just has like a clean smell to it. Like you can almost tell that it's like a lager. Very nice. Yeah, very nice. I like the nose on that. Just not, I was going to say simplistic. I think that's the wrong word to use here, but it just has a simplicity to it that, you know, it doesn't have to be overly complex to be good. I say that a lot. And I feel like in the nose, that's kind of what's happening here. It's just, you know, maybe 3 or 4 different characters and it's done extremely well. Let's see what the bourbon barrel aged one smells like. Oh yeah, completely different. The barrel screaming off the top. There's a lot of vanilla. There's a lot of peppery bourbon, sweeter bourbon. The caramel and toffee, much more rich in this one. Yeah, the barrel's dominant. Wow, it's like 2 completely fucking different beers. That's crazy. Yeah, fruity as can be, tobacco leather, barrel, vanilla, peppery bourbon, caramel, toffee, a little bit of chocolate. Wow. Yeah, I mean, so this is the perfect, like this beer right here, or this, I guess, comparison, but that beer itself is like the perfect example of like how much a barrel can change the beer. Like this is vastly different. Now, I will say, I said it's this beer barrel aged. On here though, they don't mention anything. Like over here on the side here, it says this one's brewed with brown sugar. It's 10%. This one's obviously 12%. The barrel, a lot of times, you know, you'll get a higher ABV, but they also say brewed with American two-row, barley and rice, Centennial hops, step infusion mash. But I don't know if it's actually this beer aged in bourbon barrels or if they do like a completely different beer. If anybody knows, I'd be curious to know, because like smelling them now, I always thought it was just this beer aged in bourbon barrels. And if that's the case, again, it's such a vastly different beer. Yeah, honestly, this smells fucking awesome. Wow, that smells fucking dynamite. This smells really good too, but Jesus, like this might be one of those vintages that just is fantastic. All right, let's get into the base. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, just a really well done, extremely well executed Baltic Porter, or Imperial Baltic Porter as they call it. Man, what I like about this is that there's a nice firm bitterness on the back of the palate, and the alcohol is noticeable but not over the top, so you know you're drinking a bigger beer. Another sip. So the body on this one, I guess, is more appropriate, even though it's 10%. It's Imperial Baltic Porter, so it's a lager. I think it's going to be a little bit thinner, and it is. It's like higher side of medium body. It's fine by me for the body. The mouthfeel, it's, like I said, really smelled clean in the aroma, and it's definitely clean on the palate. Has a mild to moderate carbonation. Has a real nice smoothness, too, on the palate. The taste, though, is a bit different than the nose. While the nose was very fruit forward, those dark fruits, the taste is a little bit more of, again, they brew with brown sugar, so I'm getting a little bit more brown sugar, caramel, toffee, a roasted, toasted kind of malt character, touch of chocolate. But then the dark fruits, they are the predominant note. They hit about halfway through the palate. They're just not as intense as the nose. So again, it's plum, it's raisin, it's dates, it's black cherry, but it's just not as big as the nose. It's definitely noticeable, almost getting into that like raisinette, almost like sugar daddy, scored Heath bar kind of feel on the palate. The finish is where the drinkability of this one shines. Not only does the finish, again, incredibly clean, there's a moderate bitterness here it's earthy. There's a little bit of like it's almost like Russian Imperial Stout-esque on the bitterness, moderately bitter, earthy, maybe even like a touch of a floral note. Very balanced. The finish is semi-dry, but it's more about the bitterness in this one. Again, extremely well balanced in the taste. You get a lot of that great malt goodness at the forefront, and then the finish, that the hops kind of do their job. And again, this one finishes very extremely balanced with a cleanliness to it that is unmatched, at least as far as the style goes for what I've had. So really well done beer here, but completely different than I feel this one's going to be based on the nose. We'll see. Let me take a sip here. All right, we cleanse the palate. Let's get into the barrel aged one. Cheers, everyone. Completely different, but also really tasty. Oh man. So the barrel shines in this. I don't know how long they put in the barrel. I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to a year, because I don't know when you're going to see these. I think you're actually going to see this before I did the, no, what am I talking about? Was it the Abyss? Yeah, you're going to see this one after the Abyss. The Abyss is like a blended beer, right? And kind of in that beer, like, to me, like, it was drank more like a, you know, it didn't have a huge, like, barrel presence. This is like the opposite of that, where this is just like, you notice the barrel. Body and mouthfeel. Body is definitely bigger than that. Where that's more like higher side of medium, this is like lower side of full into medium full. It is 12%. A lot of times though, the barrel can thin out the beer. It's not doing it here. Is it thick and chewy and syrupy and oily and over the top? No. This is like lower to medium full body. The mouthfeel. The mouthfeel is a little bit different. It's a little bit more crisp than this one, which I didn't think that would be the case. Yeah, it has like more of a moderate carbonation. It's still smooth. It just doesn't have the creaminess and kind of the smoothness that this one has. So body for sure, this is my preference. Mouthfeel is this one. The taste, I think I enjoyed this year's vintage better than that, which is kind of surprising. It's just very barrel heavy. So right at the forefront, it's a lot of chocolate. There's a lot of a roasty, toasty kind of malt character. A little bit of coffee. What's really the main difference that I'm getting as far as the base beer goes, tons of dark fruit, predominant note, not really any dark fruit. This is more about caramel, toffee, underlying chocolate and coffee, brown sugar, things of that nature is what I'm getting in this one. That's the first half of the palate. As it passes through, excuse me, I get more of the barrel. The second half of the palate is all barrel. It's vanillins, it's peppery bourbon, it's sweeter bourbon, almost a slight spiciness that, again, I say peppery bourbon, it has like that pepper like kind of taste. Almost rye-esque, like a spiciness. This finishes semi to full-on dry with a mild bitterness, where this one was more moderately bitter with not a lot of dryness. It's crazy how much the barrel can change. But again, I don't know for sure, 100%, if it's just the base Framinghammer in a barrel ager. They do like a slightly different tweak to, because a lot of beers, like this is a long ass review as always when we do the comparison. But like we'll go back to founders with like KBS. For many years, people thought like KBS was essentially their breakfast stout aged in bourbon barrels with chocolate and coffee, and it turns out they brewed a completely different, higher ABV beer to put in those barrels. So I'm curious if that's the case here with Framinghammer, where it's like they took like an alternate recipe or tweaked the recipe to go into the barrels, because I don't get a lot of the base Framinghammer in this beer. It's kind of wild doing them side by side. Now, to be fair, this is the 2023 release. This is the 2023 release. So let's say they age it for 6, 8, 10 months, 12 months in a barrel. The 2022 Framinghammer would have went in those barrels if they did it that way. This is my preference between the two. The barrel shines. The booziness, this one you can tell is a little bit more boozy than this, which is just fucking wild because this is 12%, that's 10. But I think because this is not barrel aged, I feel like the booziness kind of hits me a little bit more, where I can tell this is barrel aged, so I'd automatically think this is higher. I wouldn't necessarily say this is crazy high. I'd probably guess 9 to 10 here, but I also guess probably 9 to 10 here because while it's barrel aged, I really don't get anything on the palate that would indicate this is 12%. So this is the winner this year for me. This is fucking divine. And I saw that a good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber, Jesse over at Bumpy Road Brews, he reviewed this one, and I didn't watch it yet because I didn't want to be influenced when I do this review, so I'm curious to see what he thinks about this one. Jesse is incredibly critical to, and I love it because he pulls no punches, super honest. I'd be curious to see what he thinks about this one. I hope he loves it as much as I'm enjoying it because this is fucking dynamite, and this is also good. It's just doing the side-by-side, like this is kind of disappointing compared to that. I'll be honest with you. Like I like this most years, but this is fucking superior. Let's do a you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do the rating, and then we'll do the cuvee. So I'm gonna put these over here like this, and what I'm gonna say is the base Framinghammer, the 2022 release. I have no issues giving this one right here we'll go high 4 out of 5. We'll go 4.05. I can't go much higher than that. Like, I like this. Don't get me wrong. This is a really good Imperial Baltic Porter. It's just something's a little bit lacking this year. Again, and most years I find this one pretty well done, and it's just a little bit lacking. Let me also Again, we're going to make this like a 20-minute review. It says brewed with chocolate and roasted malts, brown sugar, step infusion mash. You're holding an original boundary-pushing lager. This is a big Baltic porter that might remind you of an Imperial Stout with a noticeable sweetness balanced by roasted malt and hop bitterness. Yeah, for sure. A lengthy conditioning creates a smooth, chocolatey mouthfeel enhanced by a brown sugar. What did I say? I didn't get a lot of chocolate in there. Naturally carbonated. So I would agree with them. This definitely has like an Imperial Stout, Imperial Porter vibe. But what did I say? Russian Imperial Stout, right? That's kind of what I was thinking about that one. And they nailed they hit the nail on the head with that. So 4.05 out of 5, I think, is a good score for this. No questions asked. But in the past, this is more like a 4.2, 4.25 range for me. But this, however, the 2023 Bourbon Barrel Aged Framinghammer, this all day long is going to get a, we're going to low 4.5 and go 4.45. This is fucking dynamite. This is great. As far as just like a base, a Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Baltic Porter goes, this is fucking dynamite. And I would recommend this to anybody who can get your hands on it. Wherever you see Jack's Abbey, you should probably saw this one this past fall into winter. It's still on the shelves at my couple local bottle shops. So seek this one out. And they say on the side here, brewed with, like I said, American 2-row barley and rice, Centennial hop, step infusion mash. It says Framinghammer is a unique creation that pays homage to our hometown of Framingham, Massachusetts. Each batch spends a lengthy conditioning period in various casks to create a smooth, chocolatey texture that complements some creative additions. So I think it is this base in here, but it's crazy how much it changes. So we are now going to do, no, you know what? I have to do the thumbnail. All you guys out there care, right? If you're watching this fucking fire, you're watching probably for the cuvee, but we are going to do, here's the, I post on Instagram now. So if you haven't checked out my Instagram, it's just the _beer_ PaTroll. Go check it out. I just basically talk about my reviews, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do a thumbnail properly, but whatever. I give a shit? Not really. Whatever. I'm terrible at everything I do when it comes to the channel, so fuck me. Anyway, we're not going to do crazy amount here. We're going to do something like that. Okay, I think that's fair. And then we're going to do some over here like this. I think that's like probably appropriate for what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't get on my coasters, but that's the whole point of them. All right, so looks like both beers, honestly. Same exact thing. I don't need to talk about the appearance. It looks exactly like both of those beers. Let's get nose. Oh. Smells like this beer with more dark fruit. More of that like raisinette, like a bourbon barrel. If like bourbon drizzled or like bourbon flavored like raisinettes existed, that'd be this. A little bit of tobacco and leather as well. Yeah, it smells good. Cheers, everyone. Hang on. Cleansing the palate for the covey? You're fucking right. Pretty good. If I could do De Niro, I would, but I think this is better than that. One more sip and then, yeah, I think so. I think this is like right in between the two. What it does is it takes this beer and it just adds like a dash of this. So you get a little barrel, you get again a little bit more of that raisinette score bar thing, and then with a little bourbon drizzle. Yeah, this is nice. I'd go like 4.2, 4.25 on this. Definitely better than the base, but not as good as the straight barrel aged. Let me go. We're not going to cleanse the palate. Just go right across and see how I feel about them. It's wild how much dark fruit is in that and how much bitterness there is compared to these two. It's just like, man, it's good, but it's I'll go back to this real quick. Winter chicken dinner all day. That's fucking great. 4.45. That's great. And then we'll do the cuvee and finish it out. Yeah, so in order, this, 4.45, 4.2, 4.05. Price point availability. This is where it's great because no matter which one you want to grab, it's great, I think, in my opinion. Great value. In my area, $11.99 for a 4-pack. So $3 for this can. Again, it's 10%. It's Imperial Baltic Porter for $3 a can. Fucking, yes, it's a 16 fluid ounce can. This over here, $14.99 4-pack. So you're talking, $15 a 4-pack. So it's in the, what is that, $3.75 range? That's fine by me. It's a 12 fluid ounce can, but it's also 12% and it's barrel aged. So $3.75 for that can all day, every day. Availability, wherever you see Jack's, Abby, you should have seen both of these. Maybe some of the variants of, they did this year, they did a affogato, a peanut butter pie, and a German chocolate cake. Now, I had at a share, like about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I had the German chocolate cake and the peanut butter pie. Peanut butter pie, good, not great. German chocolate cake, maybe the best variant I've ever had of a bourbon barrel aged Framinghammer. Now, to be fair, I had about 3 ounces of it. I'm going to pick a bottle up of that and review it at some point in the next couple months. That's my goal. I love German chocolate cake. I love coconut in general, and it hit the nail on the head. Will it be better than this? I gave it a 4.75 on tap at the share, but that is at a share palate, not necessarily, in a great working condition. So we'll see. The best thing I can say about this entire experiment is that A, I hope this is at least 20 minutes long, and B, it's great. I think this is, again, the perfect example to see how a beer can change in a barrel. Because if I was doing these side by side and it was blind, I would think someone's fucking with me, because I wouldn't think that this beer went into a barrel and this is what we got. But here we are, and that's apparently the case. And I can't stress enough how good this beer is. If you see this one, pick it up. Again, this is one of the better vintages. Like I said, I've had a couple years where it's not great, a couple years where it's delicious. This is delicious. And this is always well done. Typically give this like, a high 4 until a low 4 or 5. So kind of in that realm. It's just when you compare it to the bourbon barrel aged version, it falls a little bit flat, but it's still really good. So if you've had either of these beers before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about them. Have you ever done a side-by-side like this? The booziness isn't really prevalent for either to, a pretty big degree. I think I get a little bit more booziness here, knowing the ABV compared to this one. But that said, none of them are like, astringent on the palate or anything. I just think this was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. If you watch to the end, what can we do? Post in the comment section, German chocolate cake. That's it, German chocolate cake. And we'll see how many people watch to the end of these, because I don't think there's many that do. I know like Jesse over at Bumpy Road Brews, who I mentioned earlier, he occasionally will watch to the end while he's washing dishes. I know there's others, but just German chocolate cake. At any point in your comment, put it in the comment section, and then I'll know you watched to the end. For those of you who didn't, shame on you. You should always watch to the end. Give me that YouTube money that doesn't exist. But no, I would appreciate people watching the end. But when you do long reviews like this, like I know there's people that just fast forward. Maybe you watch me in 1.5 speed, maybe 2 speed. Don't ever watch me in 2 speed. I talk fast enough as is. You watch me in 2 speed, you're going to miss the vast majority of what I say, but maybe that's what you want. You just want to see the ratings. You want to see what I think about it. So just fast forward. Who the fuck cares? I don't know. I'm shutting it down. I'm going to cheers you with the cuvee, aka the cuvee, because that's what we do. Anyway, huge thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol, another comparison review to the next one. Cheers.